Hello and welcome to my presentation on the Defiance campaign by Jake Shrimp. The Apartheid. The Apartheid was a political system of segregation and discrimination in South Africa, which was active from 1948 as the National Party, which was a nationalist party, was ruling. Later, leading up to December of 1951, in which the next conference would happen, there were a lot of events due to the radical change in power and discrimination. The apartheid drastically changed the freedom in South Africa and caused a lot of disobedience and change to jobs, economical spread, and political power. The apartheid caused economical, social, and political segregation and extended political and economical control by the white minority, even though during the time of the apartheid, the percentage of blacks in South Africa increased by 8%. What is the Defiance campaign? The ANC, or African National Congress, is a South African Republican Party who were protesting against unjust apartheid rights as a defiance campaign. It was named signifying how the ANC was trying to disobey with the apartheid laws and attempted to prevent it from continuing. Starting in 1949, a new leadership came to power in the ANC, with the ANC Youth League helping out. Walter Sisulu and later Oliver Tambo were elected as Secretary Generals of the ANC, and the Defiance campaign, led by the ANC and the SAIC, or the South African Indian Congress, used tactics such as boycotts, strikes, and simply civil disobedience. The tactics were generally non-violent, and it became the largest scale non-violent resistance in South Africa, and the first large-scale multiracial political mobilization against the apartheid. These large symbolic protests were done to cause a difference without too many casualties, allowing others to truly understand their perspective and to show that they are not just aimlessly being aggressive, which could cause even more hatred back. Events leading up to the Defiance campaign. Firstly, as the National Party got an unexpected political victory in 1948, they not only created new apartheid laws, but strengthened previous discriminatory laws, such as the pass laws, preventing other races than whites to travel freely, as well as making it easier to allocate migrant labor. The system tried to prevent all blacks from having any political power, and this sparked a strong democratic resistance. On the 300th anniversary of Jan van Riebeeck's arrival to the South Cape in 1652, it was the National Day of Pledge and Prayer, in which the black South Africans boycotted against festivities to make a statement. The Defiance campaign was launched on the 22nd of June 1952, and volunteers to join would need to pledge to the following on the right picture, which in summary says, one should provide full dedication, no matter what, to follow what the National Volunteer Corps says for the best of their country, in which volunteers such as Nelson Mandela came up to make a big difference in the future of South Africa's freedom. They created symbolic protests with freedom songs, the thumbs up symbol, and cries for success, and cries such as Africa and Mayibuye, to non-violently create a larger and stronger resistance. By November, after a great success in spreading a strong, meaningful message, many so-called defiers, or for example Nelson Mandela, were arrested, up to more than 8,000 by the end of the resistance were arrested. Evaluate and analyze. Although these non-violent tactics weren't successful at achieving their goal of stopping the apartheid immediately, the resistance won UN recognition, or which is the United Nations, which is a strong international corporation. This also solidified and showed the potential power of a non-racial corporation and caused hope for the future. Indeed, in 1954, the Congress Alliance was created in an attempt to reinforce the resistance. I, however, believe that a violent approach would have likely been worse due to the other historical events and studies providing it. Such as in American segregation, where nonviolent tactics turned out to be very successful and useful. The growth and strength of resistance as a large-scale group is due to the Defiance campaign, and was successful in achieving the first step of getting together, which is a very important part. This completely changed the South African civil rights movement, and for the first time, the blacks had the power and dedication to fight back to finally make a difference after years of mistreatment. This consistent resistance created an eventual success when racial freedom was regained in the early 90s. Compare. The Defiance resistance, along with other resistance movements in South Africa against the apartheid, such as the bus boycott, influenced and inspired civil rights activists in the USA. A great example of how the USA approached the resistance by being inspired by the South Africans is Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr., where combined with both violent and non-violent tactics in a similar time period to initially gain attention violently and then finish it off years after with non-violent dedication, also bringing together thousands of people. This created a faster positive outcome for American racial segregation, but also led to much more violence and death. In addition, it is interesting to see that in America, the resistance had a minority, whereas in South Africa, the blacks are a majority compared to the whites. And this explained why the whites felt the need to mistreat them or give them even more things to obey to. In conclusion, there is not only one way to deal and succeed with stopping racial segregation, but generally a more passive tactic while bringing and convincing large amounts of people to come together can create the most successful impact.